All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, September 7th edition of the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin. I'm joined by my boy, Big Marcel. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, man? Always good to talk to you. Some MMA stuff. So we don't have a card on Saturday for the UFC, so no preview. But we got lots of other things to speak about. So yeah, let's go.
Oh, no doubt about it, man. There's definitely a few topics we want to talk about. And we do have Dana White's Contender Series tonight, 5 fights. And I'm looking forward to it, Marcel. I'll say this. If you're not watching, I think you're missing out because even if you're not betting on these fights, and I do think they're tricky to bet on because the guys are very inexperienced for the most part, it's a lot of fun to watch, man. Like, I honestly, Marcel, look forward to every Tuesday now. You know what I mean? Like, and the good thing is you don't have to watch it live. Like, you can watch it later on. Just try to stay away from the spoilers. That's what I'd recommend. But I look forward to Tuesdays every week. I'm glad, Marcel, that your mic and everything's working a lot better today. So hopefully no issues. Apologies for yesterday, guys. That's all. We obviously don't want technical difficulties here. It's going to happen once in a while. But anyways, we're going to talk about Dana White's Contender Series, Marcel. Might as well just get into the card right now, Marcel. It's a good card. I mean, what's your overall thoughts while I set it up? Any overall thoughts on this week's edition of the card?
No, man. I think it's a good card. Looking forward to it, man. It looks like a competitive card on many fights, so that's always what we like, of course. So, yeah.
I agree. I think we'd rather watch fights that are closer than ones that are wide. Anyways, let's get into the card. I think today's probably going to be a shorter show just because there isn't as many fights to break down, obviously. Let's start with the first fight, Marcel. So Muin Gafurov takes on Chidi and Anheliger. He's a Canadian guy. I've been looking forward to seeing fight the big show for a while. He beat pretty high stand, so I'm looking forward to this fight. But you look at the odds right now, and Gafurov's a big favorite, Marcel, minus 410, plus 330 on the Canadian. So you expect Gafurov to win. He's a one championship veteran. He's fought John Lineker. Do you think he wins this fight, or do you think the Canadian can pull it off, Marcel?
It's kind of tricky, man. Got to say, Anheliger is already 34. So if you look at Muin Gafurov is 25. So that might have something to do with the odds as well. I think Anheliger is a pretty good fighter, man, what I saw from him. So do I agree with the odds? Not really. I think it's much closer than the odds actually say. If you look at Gafurov is a good fighter, in my opinion. He was supposed to sign with the UFC in 2019, actually. He was supposed to fight Marcel Evloev. We scooped that fight, actually. And he had a whole press conference. I remember, I think it's in Tajikistan where he comes from. And there was a whole press conference at the site with the UFC, blah, blah, blah. And then half a week later, he had to pull out because he still had a contract with one and he couldn't go. He had still had to fight that contract out. So that now he got this is his second chance to go for a UFC contract. Yeah, man. I mean, it's. I slightly favor Gafurov here, but Anheliger can surprise, man. I think the odds are way off, in my opinion, but I don't know how you look at it. I think you have a better view than me on Anheliger, since he's Canadian. So
yeah. Well, I want to give my boy Cole a shout out because Cole interviewed him. So he interviewed him. Definitely check his interview out. I think he did a good job with it. Anheliger promises he's going to knock Gafurov. Do I see that happening? I'm not sure. I got to be honest. Marcel, I think he's a good fighter. The problem is the age. I think he just he's a late bloomer in the sport. I mean, he's been fighting for a while, right? He's a veteran of 11 years. Like, he's been fighting the Canadian regional scene. I've seen his name around for a while. But obviously the last few years fighting in Rise. My buddy James Lynch commentates for that promotion. So I've heard about him because he was telling me like that fight with Highstand was pretty crazy and a couple of his other fights. So I've heard of this guy. And I mean, if you look at his resume, he has fought, some notable names on the Canadian regional scene that I'm familiar with. He is coming into this fight with a lot of momentum, Marcel. He's coming into the fight with an 8-fight win streak. It's impressive, but he hasn't fought in 2 years. That's an issue to me. He's supposed to fight last year, I believe, against I don't know who it was against Cameron Else. That was supposed to be the fight on Contender Series last year, but they signed Else to fight in the UFC instead, so he didn't get to end up fighting that time. So he took another year off. He's been training, he's been getting better, but again, at 34, I feel like. Go ahead.
I also see he tested positive for COVID in March of 2021. That's also at 34.
That's interesting. I'm really not sure what to think about the COVID thing. I mean, a lot of guys tested positive, ended up fighting and performing fine. It's really hard to say, and I understand, guys. There's a lot of evidence out there saying that layoffs are not as detrimental as they once were. I think, but in the case of this guy, he's 34, and the guy he's fighting is only 25, Marcel. Like, that is, to me, 26, I should say. It's a big age gap. That's a big age gap, and it's not like Gafurov's a scrub. But he's a big favorite for a reason. He's a very experienced guy. He has more experience actually. He's fought all over the world. Won championship. He's fought John Lineker, like I said, has a win over Leandro Issa. I think he's probably fought better competition. I do think Brady Highstand's a great win. The line's a little high. I agree, Marcel. The line, it actually opened a lot lower. It opened at like minus 180. Excuse me. So it opened low, and that seemed about fair. 2-1, 2.5-1. That seems about right. 4-1 seems a little high. I agree, but I still can't pick Anheliger just because of the age. I honestly can't do it, Marcel. I hope he wins. That if I was one of the British media, I'd probably be rooting for this guy tonight. But for me, it's just whoever the better man is wins. Marcel, it'd be cool if he won, but my brain says Gafurov wins. What are you gonna say?
You know what Dana's gonna say if Anheliger wins?
Yeah, he's too old.
We normally don't side guys who are 34 and have an 11-5 record. That's what he's gonna say. 100%.
No, I know. And then they did the same thing to Chris Curtis a few years ago. He got kind of screwed.
Yeah.
He had a nice knockout maybe on him. Anyways, I'm going to take Gafurov. I'm thinking a decision, but Anheliger has been submitted a few times, so it's possible. But it looks like he's improved that part of his game. I'll take a decision. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'll go with a decision as well.
You think they're going to sign him or not? Gafurov, you think he gets signed?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
There you go. That's your prediction. Next fight. This one, I actually really like this fight. Bruno Correa taking on Carlos Vergara. And what's interesting is Correa used to fight in the UFC. He's had a fight in the UFC. He fought Matthias Nicolau in the UFC. So,
Japanese neck guy.
Pardon?
He lost with Japanese neck guy.
Yes, it was a very rare submission, and we don't really see that too often in the UFC. Great. Somehow, I mean, it was just an amazing submission. You don't see it very often, though, at this level. He is an Ultimate Fighter veteran, but, he's obviously bounced around a little bit the last few years. Coming in here, Bruno Correa is the favorite, minus 230 against Vergara, a Fury FC veteran, Marcel. And he's coming off a nice win over Jacob Silva, a guy who's been a Contender Series, I think 3 times, who's very tough. So this guy's on a 4-fight win streak by knockout. What do you think's going to happen in this one? I think it's a very interesting fight. What do you think?
It's a very close fight, actually, as well, man. I think the Fury FC has showed lately that they have some really good talent, man. Mano Martinez comes from it. You look at Carlos Vergara, he's fighting out Bruno Correa. Like you said, man, Bruno Correa was actually in the UFC at one time. He was on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil 4 card. I think he lost the semifinal against later win of Vieira. Then lost to in the prelims on the finale. He lost to Matthias Nicolau. Then he got a UFC contract after that, but has looked pretty good, man, so far further in his career. So the thing is, I really, how do you say that? 50-50 on this fight. I think it can go both ways. Both guys have a lot to offer. I really like this matchup, and I think this is a great matchup for Contender Series, actually. Both guys are 30 years old. Man, if I have to pick somebody here, I would probably go for Vergara. And I think if he wins, he will probably finish the fight as well. So I'm going with Vergara.
Yeah, that's an interesting pick. And I sorry guys, I forgot to say the line. It's plus 190 on Vergara. I forgot to mention that. Minus 230 on Correa, as I did mention. Marcel, I'm actually with you on this one, man. I think the underdog can win this fight. I think Vergara is being way undervalued here. Plus 190, plus 200 at some books. This is a guy who's coming off 4 straight knockout wins. Jacob Silva is a pretty tough dude, man. That's a nice win. Mm-hmm. That was a guy that was close to being UFC. Just he's a little below the level, but still a good fighter. And the fact he finished him is very impressive to me, Marcel, because that guy's a very tough guy. This guy has experience fighting someone like Jonathan Martinez, fought to a split decision. I like these guys coming from Fury FC, man, and also Legacy, obviously. I like these guys, Correa, I get it. He's been around for a while. He's had the UFC experience. Good ground game, obviously. I don't know, Marcel. Something's telling me Vergara could pull it off here. I think he actually could do it, and I think at plus 200, that's a fighter that you might want to consider as an underdog this week. I think he can win, Marcel. I think the odds are way too high on Correa. I don't understand why he's minus 230. And again, the odds for that one open at minus 150, so it's just steam on him, and I don't really agree with it. I think Vergara can win this fight. We'll see what happens. Let me get these comments, guys. Hey, Jose, what's up, man? How's it going? He's asking who Steve Bates is fighting with Harris. I didn't see that. I didn't know while Harris is out. It's too bad.
I know Tuvasa posted still fighting new opponents or something, so he's probably out. I don't know for sure. But
right.
Yeah.
Adolf Croft. Hey, Adolf, what's up, man? He said, did you guys watch KSW 63? We did. I didn't. I don't know if Marcel ended up catching it. We did talk about it a little bit yesterday. We talked about Soljic winning, Stosic winning. I like KSW. It's a great promotion. I'd love to cover it more. It's just there's so much other stuff going on over here in North America right now. But I think KSW is one of the better promotions in Europe. Personally,
I've watched the last 3 fights. The problem only this time with KSW was that it was actually at the same time with the UFC, at the same time with Glory. Everything was at the same moment, so it was very hard to.
There was a lot going on Saturday afternoon. I feel like I don't even know if we talked about the Badr Hari knockout. I don't even know if we mentioned it yesterday.
Yeah,
that was crazy. The high kick was insane. So, anyways, let's go to the next fight here, Marcel. Seaman Oliveira against Jose Alday, Combache veteran. Interesting fight. Seaman Oliveira -150 and Alday +130. Alday's a guy I've watched during some tape study. I recognized his name. I'm looking at his record. I'm like, hey, I've seen this guy fight John Castaneda and Gustavo Lopez. So I'm a little bit familiar with him. Oliveira I wasn't as familiar with. I got to be honest, Marcel. He is an ACB veteran, so I'm assuming you probably are a little bit more familiar with this guy. Give me your thoughts on this fight. Like I said, Seaman a small favorite here. What do you think?
Yeah, man. Let's start with Seaman. Seaman, Brazilian. I think he only fought one time for ACB, man. As far as I know, and he fought against Ari Farias, and Farias is a guy who also should be considered for Contender Series, in my opinion. And he lost to him with the decision. Yeah,
that guy's good.
I agree. His last win for Oliveira was in Pancrase in the Japanese promotion. Actually, the promotion who started before the UFC. He won there, front choke submission against Wataru Mimura. I got to be honest here. I think he is a pretty decent fighter, but I haven't been super impressed by him. He has a real nasty guillotine choke. And he wins many fights with that, but it's hard, for me. If you look at Jose Alday, Alday has had some better opposition against him, I think, man. And he has a win over both split decisions, but he got the win over John Castaneda and Gustavo Lopez. He lost to Lopez in the rematch right after that. He's a former Combate champion. We all know, man, Combate has some solid fighters. I know you are a big fan of Combate as well. So, the thing here is, but Alday took the fight on short notice. I think he took that 1.5 weeks ago. So that can be an issue here. I'm not sure about that. If you look at overall, I think it's a pretty even fight, to be honest. But I favor Alday a little bit more because I think Alday is overall a better fighter. But the short notice can be a problem here. So I'm not sure. I wouldn't put my money on this one. I'm going slightly with Alday, but I'm not sure.
I actually have the same thoughts as Marcel on this one. This is a very tough fight to call. I think one of the harder ones on the card. I mean, they're all tough on Contender Series because let's be honest, these guys have never fought in the UFC for the most part, except for maybe Korea. But a lot of guys that we aren't as familiar with. Alday, I knew a little bit. Simon, I don't know as well, but he's got a lot more momentum coming into this fight. A lot more wins. He's got 9 of his last 10 fights are wins. Alday, he's been kind of bouncing back and forth to wins and losses. And again, coming in a short notice. I guess he was just one of those guys that's on the list. Like, hey, if there's a short notice opportunity, he can take it. But I don't know how high the UFC is on this guy. I think Oliveira can probably get the win in this one. Marcel kind of grind it out and get the win. Maybe it's submission, but this one's tough. I mean, it's a tough one to call. And honestly, I feel like it should be like a pick 'em. You know what I mean? It's probably a little bit too high on Oliveira -150, but it's a tough one to call, Marcel. I'm kind of with you. Let me get these comments. Adolf, hey, what's up, man? He said, do you think Solid should be in the UFC? We absolutely do. We talked about yesterday. Marcel mentioned he has 2 fights left, I believe, on his KSW contract. Yeah. I'd love to see him in the UFC. I think he'd be a pretty good addition to the roster, and I'd be interested. He's saying should he fight Mamed Khalidov? Is Mamed retired or no? What's going on with him?
He came back into the cage after the fight from Soul Beach, so. Yeah, it looks like they really want to fight each other. I mean, why not? I think he recently came back and one of us asked him, I think, or is that some time ago already? I'm not sure, but I think he's back, yeah. And Khalidov is one of the most underrated guys, becoming not fighting for a big promotion in the US, man. I still think it's a missed opportunity by the UFC. Oh, yeah. I remember they offered him 10 plus 10 like years ago, and he was like, get the hell out of here.
Bro, his fight with Jorge Santiago in Sengoku, that fight is sick. That was a 5-round fight, one of the best fights of the year. 2010, it's been a while, but very experienced guy. Anyways, I'm a big fan of Khalidov, but he's 41 now. He's obviously not going to go to the UFC, but I think he could fight Soljic. That'd be a good fight. And Soljic knocks him out. I mean, that puts the guy over in a way. You know what I mean? Like, he gets that win in his resume. It's massive, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. I thought back in the day, do you remember when Jacare needed an opponent and they did the Chris Camozzi rematch on that card with Luke Rockhold against Machida, I think. That's the moment they should have signed Khalidov, and they put Khalidov against Jacare. That would have been such a great fight.
Right.
UFC sometimes cheap,
For
to be
sure.
honest.
Cole, since I heard Harris got moved to a different week, October 23rd, looks like Walt and Ty got different opponents. Jose is asking if that's the first time they've changed their mind. Absolutely not, to answer that question. They changed their mind a lot. Hey, Massey was asking Gafurov, and Sousa in a parlay. I mean, personally, if I want to play those guys, like Sousa's a pick 'em, so if you're going to bet them, I would just play them straight. Let's talk about that fight right now, actually. Mario Sousa against Chidi and Njokuani. This is, I believe, the co-main event of the card. And again, Cole actually interviewed Chidi, so definitely check that out, guys. We all know Chidi. He was in Bellator. His brother Anthony was in the UFC for a long time. Sousa's a guy I think some of us remember from Contender Series last year. He actually hasn't fought since then, which is kind of interesting. I guess he did win his fight. It was kind of a boring fight. He didn't get signed. Right now, Marcel, the odds are a pick 'em. It's basically minus 110 each. So very close odds for this fight. What are you thinking in this one, man?
Yeah, man. I mean, Mario Sousa, I think he didn't look bad against Mariusz Kizaskiewicz, or however you say it. That's probably, man, I think many people were happy that name didn't get to the UFC, not the guy. We just with that name. Yeah, I didn't think he looked bad in that fight, If you look at Chidi and Njokuani, I mean, in Bellator, in the beginning, he did very well. He's, by the way, the younger brother of Anthony Njokuani, former UFC fighter. In the beginning, he did very well in Bellator, but at the moment, he's going to fight top-level fighters like Koreshkov, Salter, Carvalho. He lost them all, And recently, in 2020, it's already a year ago, he won against Christian Torres in LFA. Man, I think Chidi has more experience than Mario Sousa, against better opponents. But I feel like that Mario Sousa can win this fight, man. I really think Chidi and Njokuani, he's 32 now. If you look at Mario Sousa, he's 24. I think an 8 year age gap. Normally, I mean, 32 is not very old, because I'm 32 myself. I'm not going to say that's old. So, but overall, I feel like Sousa can win this, man. I think he can do it. I would go with Sousa. I don't think it will be a great fight, to be honest. I expect a decision win. And honestly, if Sousa gets signed, I think Dana will probably say, like, yeah, you didn't get signed last time. You won again now. I'm give you the contract this time. So that's what I pretty much expect.
Yeah, and just because I forgot to mention it, the Vergara and Korea fight, I think the winner of that fight is going to get signed because it's a flyweight fight. Alday and Oliveira, I mean, depends how the fight goes. They have a lot of bantamweights, but if it's a really good fight, the winner would get signed. This fight, I don't know, Marcel, because on paper, I feel like I kind of agree with what you're saying with Sousa. I think he can grind it out, but I don't think it's going to be pretty, like, basically. That's when maybe he could submit him. I think that's what he needs to do. He needs to submit Chidi. I am leaning towards Sousa, though. Got to be honest with you. I mean, there's a lot to like about this guy. He's coming in on a nice win streak, 5-fight win streak. Chidi's lost 3 of his last 4. Again, he's obviously he's lost 3 of his last 5. He's fought way better competition. We can obviously say that, right? But he's also lost a lot more too, Marcel. He has a lot of losses, and he's a guy who's been around since 2007 as a pro. That's a long time, guys. Like, it's cool he's getting a shot in Contender Series, but to me, this is a guy who's probably a little past his prime, Marcel. I hate to say it. At 32, I don't think it's like super old. But you're going against a guy who's 24, a guy who's already fought in Contender Series, a guy who knows what to expect from Contender Series, a guy who I think knows what Dana wants this time. I think he needs to get a submission to get that UFC contract. I don't know if he gets it, though. I think Chidi's going to be really tough in this fight, but I'm leaning towards Sousa. So Massio likes him by submission. I think it's possible, Massio. What's the odds on it? Sousa by sub, plus 300. I mean, it's not bad at all. I'm not a huge prop guy because fights can end in so many different ways, guys, but that or by decision at plus 445. I mean, those are interesting for sure. Any thoughts on those?
I have to feel we completely agree with each other about this fight.
Yeah, I know. We actually kind of do. I mean, but I will say this. Like, I know Cole, he likes Chidi in this fight. He thinks he can kind of keep it standing. And the guy, obviously, he's fought a lot of good strikers, Marcel, and he's got win over a guy like Max Griffin. Like, that's a big win. You know what I mean? But, again, that was in 2015. I think this guy came to the UFC, or he's not even in the UFC yet. I think he's coming in to the Contender Series a little too late in his career. Same problem with Anheliger in the first fight. I like these guys, but I would have liked them when they were, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, Marcel. Not now. It's a little bit, I think they're just a little bit too old for the show. I hate to say it because I don't want to use age as a reason to, pick against the guy necessarily. But in this case, it's the UFC. We know what Dana White wants. He likes to sign younger guys. I should mention Anheliger. He was pissed that he wasn't on Contender Series, but I think it's because he was 34. You know, Marcel, because the oldest guy in the show is Reddinghouse, who's like 30 or 31. Everyone else was in like their early 20s, right? That's the UFC is looking for younger guys right now. But if Chidi goes out there and throws a head kick knockout or a flying knee or something, he can get signed for sure. So I think the winner of that fight, they can't edge it out because they don't need more middleweights, but they do need more middleweights who are exciting and can finish guys. So I think if someone gets a finish, Marcel, they'll sign them. That's my prediction for that fight, because I think it's it's a tough fight to call. Now let's go to the main event. This is a short notice fight. Josh Quinlan taking on Logan Urban, who's coming in on short notice. Marcel. It sucks that the other guy got hurt Darian Weeks. That fight was a pick'em. This fight's 3-1 for Quinlan, so he's a big favorite. But Urban's not a scrub, man. He's a good prospect too. Both guys, Marcel, all their wins by stoppage. Wow, this is going to be a good fight, man. Great main event. The winner's getting signed to the UFC like 99%, I would say, of the time. I do expect someone to get knocked out in this fight. I'm thinking Quinlan knocks Urban out. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking the same, man. I think Logan Urban comes in this fight in very short notice. We saw Logan Urban in his most recent fight absolutely destroyed Antoine Blessing game via a knee in the second round, knockout. If you look at Quinlan, man, I was really pumped for Weeks against Quinlan, man. That would have been such an amazing fight, but Weeks out due to COVID in his team. I think I've been high on Quinlan for a long time, man. I saw his fights in LFA. I think he's a really good fighter, and man, I see him winning this one, man. I think he probably TKOs Urban. I'll go with the second round TKO in this one, man.
Yeah, no, I think so too, man. Again, the guy's coming on a short notice, but he is a powerful dude too. And if he catches this guy Quinlan, that's the risk when laying 3-1 in this fight, because this guy's got power and he doesn't have much to lose. Coming on a short notice, they probably told him, "Hey, you take this fight, we'll give you another one, like next year Contender Series or something if you lose." I'm sure that's part of it too, Marcel. But we'll see. I mean, I think it should be a good fight. So just go ahead.
How many times did this happen? We did a complete card and we all agreed on all fights.
Did we actually agree on all 5? No, because you picked Alday, I picked Oliveira. I guess that we were different on that one, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. See, we're never the same, man. There's always something different. So that's the one fight we kind of went again back and forth, and it's also one of the closest fights. But I would say in order of confidence, Gafurov will probably be one of our more confident picks. I think Quinlan should win as well. I like Vergara as a dog, Sousa as a pick'em, and then Oliveira I would lean towards a little bit. But my favorite bet in this card, guys, it's not going to go on my record or anything, but it would be if I told you guys to make a bet in this card, I'd say Vergara plus 200 as an underdog. What would you say, Marcel?
Yeah, I agree with you. That's probably the best bet you can do.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of value on him there. You know what I mean? He might lose. Obviously, if he gets taken down, he gets submitted. But I think he keeps it standing. He can knock Korea out. The guy's a very good striker. And I really like that Fury FC promotion. You forgot to mention Adrian Yanez earlier when you were talking about Fury FC. Another guy who came from there. Great fighter.
Morona, commentator.
Morona was awesome, man. He's commentating and fighting fighting and commentating the next day. That's crazy. I think Brendan Allen's fighting Andre Mediz. Is that the fight? Marcel, you heard anything about that one?
I haven't heard, but possible. I haven't heard.
Great fight. I mean, it'd be an awesome one. I think, it's too bad because in a way I'd like to see them fight, different guys in the top 15, like veterans. But, I mean, listen, UFC's, the divisions are tough. And, even guys that are unranked, like these two guys, or Muniz is 15, I should say. Allen, he's unranked, but he obviously could be a top 15 guy. I think that's a great fight. I mean, after seeing Muniz destroy Jacare like he did, I mean, it's hard to, I think, pick against him, but Brendan Allen looked really good against Puna too, so interesting fight. I think that's it for Contender Series, Marcel. It was fun to talk about for sure, man. Like I said, guys, it's tonight. I definitely recommend watching if you're not doing anything else. Or just watch it later. It's on Fight Pass. And you know what? Go ahead.
Next week, six fights, by the way, probably.
Yes, that's what we heard as well. So we'll talk about the next week. I think next week will probably be like a quicker preview just because we're going to do UFC. And from what I saw, there's 15 fights scheduled right now, according to Topology. I don't know if they're all official, though. I think some of them might get moved or something.
I still only the main card is confirmed.
I know. There's only 4 fights official on UFC stats right now. It's like, guys, the card's next week. I want to know what's on the card,
Yeah.
Anyways, we all know there's issues with COVID and visas and stuff right now. Hey, Glenn, what's up, man? Is Chikadze right to be pissed at moving the rank to number 8? I don't think so. I think he's 7-0 now, right? Like, it's a good record, but this is his only ranked win, isn't it?
You got to see who are you fighting, and you
Yeah.
can't, if you are, for example, I say you're number 11 and you fight number 10, you can't expect to go to number 4. And people are like, yeah, but Islam Makhachev, yeah, that was also not
I didn't agree with that
supposed to
either. I
happen.
don't. Yeah, that's a
Same.
lot of hype and stuff. Like that's Ali Abdelaziz pushing his narrative on the media. A lot of pressuring on the media. Hey, this guy should be ranked number 5. He didn't beat a number 5, top 5 guy though. I don't understand why he got pushed past. He needed to beat RDA to get past him, and they already did it. So I feel like this fight is kind of pointless now. Like it was a perfect fight if RDA was the guy ranked up. You know what I mean, Marcel? Like it's kind of weird. It's just it's weird what they did there. Like I don't understand how he beat the guy who's number 15 and went from like 11 to 4. That to me is really weird. Or he's 5 actually. I don't agree with that.
Those complete rankings are
I don't want to. Honestly, guys, we'll probably spend the rest of the time arguing about these rankings. But I'm looking at Giga, number 8. I think it's fine. Emmett's number 7. Emmett has a lot. I think a lot of really good fights in the UFC, a lot of good wins. If you want to put him above Emmett, fine. But Allen has like 8 wins in a row or something. Yeah, I think he has even more wins in a row. Why would he be above him? Maybe Cater shouldn't be number 5, but the rest of the guys you can't put Giga above him. I mean, he's definitely a top 10 guy. But again, Marcel, Barboza's a good win. But I'd like to see him fight someone like Chan Sung Jung or Yair or one of these guys, and then get to the top. We'll see. He's talking a big game. I think he's really good. But again, I want to see more. I still want to see more Giga, Marcel. I want to see him fight another one of these top 10 guys. And also, Zabit is not in those top 10 guys. He should be in the top 10. And when his next fight gets announced, UFC will magically put him back in the top 10, Marcel. And he should be there. I mean, the guy's great too. Cole saying next week's card's bad. It's okay. I kind of agree. The main events, I like the Span Smith fights. Is it a main event quality fight? No, but it's a fun fight.
Cool. If you are hyped for Woodley against Paul, you should be hyped for this.
That's funny. Anyways, we'll talk about that card. We'll talk about it next week. Again, we don't know all the fights. Do you watch UFC's online show? I try to watch it sometimes. I mean, Nick's my friend. He's been one of my employees for the last 10 years. So me and Nick are close, but. Marcel, we all love Nick. Nick's a great guy. I don't really know Johnny, obviously just from like the show, and then Brandon I know from Twitter and from commentating the fights. I think the show's really fun. You know what I mean? But I know Johnny's struggled a little bit. I see the clips on Twitter. I mean, listen, like betting's hard, man. It's not an easy thing to do, Marcel. It's very hard. I'd love to see all these MMA. I'd love to see the other journalists put their bets on, put their records out. I don't think the majority will be that great. It's a hard game. You can know the sport and not be good at betting. Like, you know what I mean, Marcel? Like, I'm not saying I'm amazing. I'm decent at it. I'm good at it, I would say, but not amazing. I think it's one of those things where, Marcel, I think you can know a sport, but still not know how to bet on it, basically.
You gotta have knowledge about it, but you also have to have a certain sort of luck. That something has to get. It's a combination of something. Of course, you have to have knowledge about it, and you have to do your research. But you also have to listen, man. You can have a perfect breakdown of a fight, and it can go that way. And one punch can switch everything.
I agree completely. Luck is definitely a factor. I mean, I'm thinking about Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling. I mean, I had Peter Yan. He was obviously the better fighter. He threw a stupid knee. How could you ever think that was going to happen? So, anyways, let's talk about this guy's other opinions. Unpopular opinions. Nobody's ducking his managers giving good stylists and matchups. I kind of agree with that. I mean, Ali talks a big game, man. I don't know. How is Yair still top 5? I mean, he never fights, but he has that win over Zombie, right? So that's
Jair had luck that his fight against Zabit got canceled because of Zabit and not because of Jair. Because if it was because of Jair, he would have been out of the
I think Zabit would have beat him, honestly. I think Zabit is really good. I think it's too bad Zabit. Dude, it actually breaks my heart. I think he's maybe the best guy, and we're not going to be able to see it for a while. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about this. Vitor Belfort's vetting Evander Holyfield this weekend. I got to be honest, guys. The odds don't make sense to me. I don't know why Evander Holyfield's favored right now. He didn't open as the favorite. The bettors flipped him. It was minus 140. Now it's minus 130. I put an article at BJ about it. Maybe some people saw it and they changed the line by 10 cents. I'd like to think that. Marcel, I think that Vitor Belfort plus 100 is a good bet too, honestly. I don't know what you guys are thinking. I mean, I know it's crazy to bet on this crap, but he's going to knock. I'm pretty sure he's going to knock Holyfield out. Holyfield's 58 years old.
I don't want to see this at all. I don't want to see a legend like Holyfield get knocked out by another legend, but not a boxing legend.
Who are you picking? Who do you like in the fight? You like Vitor?
Well, Belfort. I think
he's an underdog. Marcel, I want to put my whole paycheck on the guy. Yeah. Why is he an underdog?
I don't know, man. I really don't like it at all, man. I said it on my Facebook as well, not on my Twitter, because people want to go crazy if I say it on my Twitter. But I really don't like it, man. I think I said on Facebook, like, somebody who was bragging to matchmake a guy from Evander Holyfield against Vitor Belfort should get punched in the face twice by Francis Ngannou. I mean, what the hell, man? This is not a fight I want to see. I mean, Evander Holyfield is a legend in boxing, and I understand, man. He's probably like, I want to go one more time, but I don't think Vitor Belfort is the right guy to box right now, and definitely not if Vitor is back on TRT, for example.
No, I'll say this. I did check his Instagram just to see what he's been looking like, and he says he's been training, and I mean, the guy looks really good. I'll show you his picture. For a guy who's 58. I mean, this is crazy to me.
Yeah, no disrespect at all.
No, not at all. We have a lot of respect for Van Holyfield, but again, 1 week's notice, guys. But yeah, look at his picture. I mean, he looks great. He looks phenomenal. 58 years old. I'm 58, but I feel like I'm 28. My health and conditioning is very important to me. He can win, because the thing is, he's the better boxer. He is. And he probably has the better cardio, mate. I mean, actually, I don't know that. I don't know if I can say that. It's just Vitor's Belfort's cardio is so bad. He has, like, obviously the first couple rounds to knock your head off, but historically, Vitor always fades his fights. But I just said a 58-year-old guy has better cardio. That sounds kind of crazy too. I think Vitor wins, and I don't know what you guys are thinking. As an underdog, I don't get the line. I'm confused by this one.
It kind of gives me Ron Van Cleef flashbacks. Remember him?
This is getting me. I'm just scratching my head, Marcel. Like, is this fight fixed or something? Why is he an underdog? Is something funny going to happen? Is there going to be a draw again? Now, let's talk about the other one. Anderson Silva is minus 1,000. Right now over Tito Ortiz plus 600, and that makes sense. I mean that makes sense. I thought Vitor would be like minus 300 over something over Holyfield. Like I'm surprised. I got to be honest, guys. I'm just like, because again the odds makers open at minus 175. The public flipped it, but Anderson 10-1. That makes sense to me. He opened at minus 500, so he's been steamed up to 10-1. I think Anderson destroys Tito Ortiz in the boxing. Tito's dropping all this weight. Again, I'll show you the article today. So I put it at BJ. Tito's dropping. He hasn't weighed 195 since he was in college, he said. So that's a long time ago. I'll show you guys a picture.
Why he took the fight?
That's the thing. He's complaining about it, but he signed on the dotted line. It's like you should have said, hey, I'll do the 200 maybe or something, or just 205. Like Anderson's fought at 205. Here's what he looks like. I mean, and that's at 212. I just and this was after he took off garbage bag guys and sweatsuit. Like he had been working out. I think he's in the sauna or something right now, or the bathroom or something. Clearly, he's already taken a lot of water out of him. I don't know if he can drop another 70 pounds. I really don't think so. What do you think? You think he makes weight? I don't think he makes weight. That's my prediction right now. I think he's going to come in at 200.
Yeah, he was the master of weight cutting. Remember when he was in his high days?
But bro, he hasn't weighed that since 98.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's crazy, and. It's on Tito. He signed the dotted line. What you say? He signed the dotted line, so he can actually complain about it. But I understand, man. I mean, they could have easily do a little bit heavier, and some box around much heavier. So yeah.
No, let me get some comments, guys. I missed a few. Let's see here. Hey, Glenn, he said for 267, it's a choice to get vaccinated or do 10 days quarantine for fighter staff. Not sure Dana would do either though. So I heard someone on Twitter said Dana's vaccinated. I don't think Dana said he is, but I mean, if I would be honestly, I think he probably is, but he just doesn't talk about it. Like I would guess he actually is because he's in contact with a lot of people. I'm sure the UFC lawyer was probably like, you got to get vaccinated just because of the risk for him, right? But I have no idea, to be honest with you.
People are so fixated on the vaccinating thing and that kind of stuff in 267. I mean, or 268, I'm sorry, in New York. It's like...
Yeah. He's talking about the one in Abu Dhabi. He's saying Abu Dhabi. Yeah.
Yeah, 267. Yeah, sorry. But people are so fixated on that, man. It's like... You're not going to change anything if they don't want to, for example. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to happen. So
yeah, and then 268. That's in New York. I mean, Chandler said he didn't want to get vaxxed, and that was a requirement. And then all of a sudden, it's not. I don't know if there's like a loophole or something, whatever. The athletes don't have to, but I thought that was strange because remember there was the talk that the fight was going to be moved, the Gaethje fight, but apparently it's still in that card. But again, these fights are 2 months down the road, guys. A lot can change. As far as the law goes with COVID and vaccines and passports and all this shit, there's so much going on. Every day is a different day. Actually, all times to beat first Yair was canceled due to Yair. I mean, Yair, Dana White. I think a few years ago they released Yair. They released him. He signed with Kambache, and then they let him out of his deal. He came back. Remember that, Marcel? They cut him. They were pissed off at him. He always butts heads with the UFC. He had left and came back. Cole says the B would lose to most top 5 guys. He fought a main event to go 5 rounds. Probably Cole. I mean, the top 5 is pretty stacked. But he did beat Cater, who's ranked, I think, 5 or 6. So I mean, that's obviously a good win still. Although he slowed down a lot in that third round.
I don't agree with Cole at all, by the way. So
I think Zabit's better than Cole's getting credit for. I think Zabit's great, but Max Holloway's a tough fight for anyone, or Volkanovski. These are tough fights.
I always think Zabit needs to get. That sounds really arrogant, but I think Zabit needs to get challenged. He needs to get challenged, and he doesn't feel challenged yet with the guys he fought so far in the UFC. I think that's what I think.
Yeah, it bothered me. There's always an excuse for the 5-round thing too. There's always an excuse not to fight 5 rounds. Like, it's been 2 years since the guys fought. I don't get it.
He was supposed to fight 5 rounds against Jair, man. He was supposed to fight.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to see it. Let me go to these other comments. Cole is convinced Silva KOs Ortiz. Cole, I definitely think that Anderson wins. I'll tell you that right now because Tito's gonna have to just KO him basically with a lucky punch. That's the only way he's gonna win. Anderson's a much better boxer. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out, right? That's why he's 10-1. But I was reading an interview with him today, and he was saying I think Tito's gonna be hard to knock out, and honestly, I'm thinking this fight might go to the distance. Basically, that's what he's saying. I'm gonna have to use my technique to beat him in this fight because he's a lot bigger than me. That's what he was saying. I think he's just gonna kind of jab him and move around on the outside and win a decision. Maybe Cole. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Let me look at the props on that fight just for fun. Not that I'm gonna bet. I'm not betting on that. I'm not betting on a 10-1 favorite in boxing. I do expect Anderson to win though, guys. I mean, people bet 10-1. I mean, he's a guy that should win. There's no props for it. I just look at Vitor as an underdog. That just makes me scratch my head and wonder why. Also, there's David Haye versus Joe Fournier. That's another great fight, Marcel. You're looking forward to that one on the card? These guys?
I know David Haye, but I'm really not into boxing, so I can't say yes.
Totally fair. Again, this is an MMA show. I was just curious. I'll probably watch the card. Honestly, I'll probably watch it. I mean, I want to see what happens. If I'm at home, I'll probably be at home. I have a kid, guys. That's my lifestyle. Stay at home. Glenn, if you're fine with cheating to win, you're fine with throwing a fight to get big paid. Don't risk the words. Yeah, Glenn, I don't know if I should put the big check on it, but man, he should win. He has to put some lunch money on for sure, though. Tito's clinch maybe wins the fight. Maybe. I mean, I don't know though. It's boxing, right? They should break it up. Who do you got? Keller, Crute. Man, 2 guys. I just watched Crute and Smith again today because I was wondering, this guy came back pretty soon. It was just a weird injury in that fight. It's so strange. Man, that's tough. I don't know. How do you trust that guy? Then Hill, he's coming off an injury in his fight too. It's Marcel, 2 guys coming off an injury. I don't know.
Yeah,
Crute's really good though, man. Crute's really
somebody good. Commented under my fight announcement the 2 cripples against each other. So.
That's not very nice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Crute's a really good prospect. I think he's 24 or 25. Hill's 30, I think. Yeah, I'd have to lean towards Crute. But again, Hill's got good striking. We all know that. What's next for Rug? I don't know. What's next? Who's a scrub that he can fight?
No idea, man. I think he will fight at Aries again, or maybe at one championship, one of the 2.
I mean, the guy lost, man. He looked awful.
I was really disappointed last time out. He wanted out of the fight.
This guy's terrible. He has no cardio, guys. He's got he didn't have 10 minutes cardio. He tapped out basically, retired on the stool because he was too tired. Marcel. It reminded me of Dada 5000 and Kimbo Slice.
Oh God.
Shouldn't joke about that. I'm glad Dada didn't die, but he did have a heart attack in the fight, which is actually really sad. Rugbride should train with Fernan Lopez. I mean, he should do anything. The guy needs cardio though, man. He's got to obviously get in shape, drop weight, take it seriously. Who decides creation of interim belt? Dana, matchmakers, Hunter, Ari, all of the UFC executives. There's they always talk about the matchmakers meeting every Tuesday, right, Marcel? They have the matchmaker meeting. Dana White's there. Hunter Campbell's there. He's the UFC lawyer. Sean Shelby's there. McMahon's there. And I'd imagine, I don't know if anyone else is there, but maybe they're bringing Laura Sanko in there now a little bit, because I think Laura is someone that's definitely on the trajectory to be high up in the UFC. Dana White's not going to be here forever, guys. I mean, Laura could be someone that if she could be the face of the UFC at one point. I wouldn't be surprised. It's possible, I think it's definitely possible. I think they're kind of, they're preparing for a really big role with the company. She already has a big role. I'm just saying, one of these guys that's commentating right now probably will take over from Dana one day. I don't know when that's going to be. I mean, Dana White says he loves it. He's going to do it till he dies. He might do it for the next 20, 30 years. I mean, who knows, right? But I'm just saying, like, you know, you'd imagine it'd be someone like who's the UFC favorite, like a Daniel Cormier, Marcel, or Laura, or Paul, someone like that. You know, you'd imagine they would take over rather than some like random person. And I don't think that, like, you know, Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard don't have the personality to be the president. You know what I mean, Marcel? Have you ever thought about that? Dana White not being the boss? Have you guys ever thought about that? Like, if you guys throw it in the comments, I'll read it out. But I don't think he does it forever. I mean, but I'd say like the next 20-ish years. I don't know, Marcel. What do you think, man?
I don't know, man. I never really thought about it, to be really honest. I hear many people saying Cormier or Chael Sonnen or whatever, but
Chael, I don't know. It'd be funny though. He's saying Jose's asking Laura, Megan, or Caroline Peace, which one is fire? I mean, they're all good at their jobs, obviously. Jose, and they're all attractive women, obviously.
What do you actually mean with that question specifically? Right?
I mean, they're all good at their job, and like I said, they're good at their jobs. Laura's really good. It's really smart. I just think that, you know, there was probably a lot for her to be doing all those roles last week, though. You know what I mean, Marcel? I saw some criticism for like when she read the scorecard for the Candelario fight. She was kind of like running back and forth. Remember when the scorecards were read? Some people were criticizing for that, maybe not being as focused. But Dana White says, you know, she wanted to do more work. We're going to give her all these jobs. So her thing is Contender Series. It's her and Dana now. That's their thing. Megan, obviously, she's been working. You know, and I saw Megan O'Leary, guys, at the UFC 140 press conference. That's the first time I ever saw her. That was John Jones and Machida. That was in Toronto. So I went to the press conference or the media day or whatever. John Jones, Machida was there. Tito Ortiz was there. Tito fought in that card. Holy fuck. That was 10 years ago, guys. He fought Little Nog, I think, in Toronto. It's crazy. But I saw Megan there, and, you know, you could tell she was working for this website called heavy.com. I don't know if it exists anymore, but they actually had a really good MMA section way back in the day. And she did great interviews. So not really surprised that she's kind of like, it seems like she's also moving up in the company. Like, she was at that meeting where Diego Sanchez and Josh Fabia were like, she was right there with Paul Felder. Like, those guys, I'm telling you, they're moving up. Caroline works for BT Sports, so she's not, I don't think she works for the UFC, but she's a really good commentator or reporter as well. So just to answer your question. I also think, Phoenix Carnival did a really good job last week. You know, everyone was like telling Ariel what a great job he did. Let's give Phoenix some credit, guys. You know, she's someone that grinded her way from LFA and RFA, Marcel, from Access TV way back in the day. Like, I've seen her on TV for years doing interviews. So I was cool seeing her on the Paul broadcast with Woodley last week. You know, Marcel, like, it is nice to see. So I don't know how this topic came up, but it is nice to see women, you know, succeeding in this business. But in my opinion, they're succeeding because they know the sport well. You know, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
you know, they know the sport well. Laura used to fight, guys. She's a professional fighter herself. You know,
I always say, you know, I don't really get the women man kind of thing. You know, if you're good and you're doing your job,
exactly,
man,
I agree completely.
It shouldn't matter. You know,
for me, it doesn't matter, Marcel. But, you know, the world sees things in a different way than we do. But for me, it's like whoever's good at their job should do well. And that's what for me. That's what it comes down to. For other people, they look at the gender, they look at, you know, sex, I
don't care.
Race, all that stuff. I personally just want to see the best person doing the job. You know what I mean?
Same.
Yeah. Gwen says it will be Olivia. She hates Ariel, which is a bunch of. I didn't know that. She mentioned on Joe Rogan Experience. Okay, I didn't see it. Now I do remember she was on. I saw some, I guess, clips floating around. I didn't end up watching it, but not totally surprised. I mean, Ariel's kind of, you know, he's making himself very controversial figure, you know, guys. Like, he's obviously trying to drive these ratings up. And the guy obviously, Ariel's great. I mean, we all know he's good at his job, but, you know, some of the stuff he's been doing to draw up the interest, you know, kind of going after some other reporters and stuff. I didn't really like that, Marcel, personally. But it is what it is. I didn't know what he said either, Jose. Glenn, if you want to say what happened there. Anyways, guys, just to be clear, I mean, we have another 50 minutes. We can talk about anything MMA related, UFC related. You guys throw questions. I'll stay with Marcel. Marcel, if that's okay with you. So whatever you guys want to talk about.
You can also ask personal questions, but we will have to see if we answer them. You know.
Yeah, we're doing this. It's just turned into a Q&A session. So yeah. What else, Marcel? I'm looking forward to the card next week. But I started looking into it, guys. Spann and Smith. I mean, I don't have any picks yet. We'll talk about that next week. Looking forward to it. Let me see what else there is, Marcel. Bellator's coming up as well. Pardon?
Clark against Kutelaba, I want to say, but yeah.
Yeah. That's an interesting fight. But I was going to say, yeah, we also have Bellator coming up. I think next week Romero is making his debut, so interesting. I don't know.
Go ahead. Did you saw how Kutelaba looked on his Instagram?
Yes, I did. Yeah, and he looks good, and he's like me right now. He's like a dad, right? He's like he got the kids, man. He's fighting for his family. Man, the guy, he looks like an absolute monster, man. I mean, like Marcel, like
I didn't recognize him.
He looks like a beast, guys. Like, but Clark obviously has better cardio. That's the thing. Yeah. If he doesn't knock him out, he might gas out again. He always does in his fights. Jose says Ismagula should be 15 instead of Moises. Dude, I agree. Moises is kind of getting overrated in my opinion. He's decent. He's good. Don't get me wrong, but what was his best win, Marcel? Bobby Green. That is a good win, but it was a close fight. You got different judges would have given. Yeah, or Hernandez. I guess it's an okay win. Hernandez isn't ranked anymore. Shouldn't Kutelaba try middleweight? I think so. Misha Surkinov is cutting the middleweight, guys. He's fighting Krzysztof Jotko. I think he's going to struggle to make 185. Glenn says, can't remember exactly, but the one she did with Benavidez. No worries, Glenn. Yeah, fair enough. So Glenn just saying, like, the word, he's saying that she didn't say those exact words about not liking Ariel, but it implied it. Again, don't take, I didn't see it, guys. I'm just reading the comments.
I saw a clip from Olivi where they talk about I think with Forrest Griffin, and Forrest Griffin was like, why is he? It's like, I don't know who he is.
Yo, here's a good one. Let's talk about this, guys. There's something I want to talk about. It's not BJ Penn. I wrote it today. What do you think? I don't know if you saw these comments. Okay, so Travis Brown, who's married to Ronda Rousey now.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Okay, so he started bitching about he called them the whiny little bitches who were crying about fighter pay. So he's going off saying, and so he had Dana White in his podcast. So listen, guys, obviously I don't have a ton of subscribers or viewers either, but I'm surprised Dana did his podcast because he only has 200 subscribers, right? But Ronda Rousey's his wife, so I'm sure Ronda texted Dana is like, you got to do Travis's podcast. But that's what Travis needs to do, obviously, get his name out there. So they have their podcast, Tough Business. Dana was on it, and Travis basically sucked up to him and said, let me read the quote, guys. He said, like, you always said you're going to pay me. He said, you always pay me what you said you were going to pay me. Most of the time is more. So all these people complaining about it, they're talking about shit about it. At the end of the day, I'm the one who signed that fucking contract. Then I'm going to turn around and bitch about it, or I'm going to bitch about it to a fucking reporter or something. That doesn't make sense to me as a man. I signed a contract if I want to get paid more, and you guys have always been upfront about it. Hey, if you're a free agent, go find a better deal. I've always felt like I was part of the UFC. When my contract is up, we had a bigger offer, but I was like, listen, the best fighters are here in the UFC. I'm not trying to be a level fighter. I'm trying to compete against the best. You guys have always treated me right. The pay has been there, and again, it's always been at least what the contract was, and most of the time was more. So these guys complaining, bitching in the media, they don't fucking hear that they hear the little bitch that's crying and complaining because you get these entitled people. I don't know what the fuck it comes from. It's like they're just whiny little bitches, and then they go make more whiny little bitches that will write about it, like me. So I said my boss Chris that because he sent me the articles. You got to write this up. I mean, I just disagree with what he's saying. It's just it's bullshit that he's going after the other fighters. Like, what a complete dick. You know what I mean, Marcel? Like, to me, such a dick move by Travis to throw the other fighters under the bus. I don't agree with him, Marcel. What do you think, man?
I wonder how the taste of Dana Dick's taste in his mouth.
Oh my god, you have to say it when I had the water in my mouth. Oh my god.
Sorry, man. But I
literally spit it out, guys. That was hilarious. The guy he just sucked up to Dana the whole time. Listen, Travis Brown was a pretty bad fighter. I mean, he got knocked out like almost every fight. He's a guy that was just like a 500 fighter. I mean, at one point he had some good wins. Don't get me wrong, but he just went downhill for him. And listen, his wife is a millionaire.
Yeah, exactly.
It's easy for him to say this. Why? I don't understand why he's being such a dick to the other fighters, and the reporters. So he's coming after the reporters too now. Why? Because we're writing.
I don't mind.
I'm not really the guy that writes about this because honestly, I've said enough about fighter pay over the years. It should be up. It's up to the fighters too, man. They have to unionize and do this. That's the only way it's ever going to go up, guys. It's up to the fighters. It's not up to the media.
He should be backing his colleagues, man.
That's BS that he would say that. So I don't agree with that. I'm not attacking Travis as a person or anything like that. I didn't bring up any of the other stuff that he's ever been accused of. I didn't want to mention that. But I just don't think it's fair that he's throwing the other fighters under the bus, Marcel. I don't like that.
We don't have to mention that, man. It's already stupid what he said, so we can't just talk about that,
No, for sure. So let me just see. There's a few other things we can talk about here, guys. But yeah, I mean, I just don't agree with those comments. The fighter pay is low. It's too low. Pre-Edmund Travis was a fun heavyweight to watch. He wasn't, like I said, he wasn't bad, but he just went on a bad losing skid, and again, I think he had like a 500 record. I don't think he was a terrible heavyweight by any means. I don't know, man. Him and Ronda rubbed me the wrong way, Marcel. I don't know.
the real thing that put me off on Travis was the fight against Brandon Sharp. And I'm not a Brandon Sharp fight
Matt
either way.
Mitrione. Matt Mitrione, that fight where he poked him in the eye. Remember that fight?
I know, but do you also remember the Sharp fight where he was punching him and he could have easily stopped that fight, but he just kept it longer. He just wanted to humiliate him more.
Yeah. Marcel, do you remember this fight where he fought Matt Mitrione? Remember this fight?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
that should have been a disqualification. How does he not disqualify for doing this to the guy? Like Marcel?
Yeah,
that's complete BS, right?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
All right. Anyways, I want to give Cole some love here because Cole's a good dude. He interviewed Alex Morono, and Morono called out Matt Brown. What do you guys think about this fight? That's what the fight. If you want it, tweet it out. I guess go and retweet Cole's article. Comes out in 5 minutes on Twitter. I love the fight. I mean, Alex Morono and Matt Brown are two warriors, man. This is gonna be a great fight if it happens. What do you think?
Yeah, somebody thinks they have to clip his nails right in front of my door or something. But it would be a good fight. And Matt Brown is very tough, so we know what Morono fights. So yeah, I like the fight.
I'd watch that fight too. Let me see what else we got here. Yeah, here's no, I wasn't there. I wonder what was Anderson thing, where he was talking about like the fight maybe going long. All right. Tito, we talked about. I think we got everything, Marcel, honestly. We talked a little bit about this yesterday right there until there wasn't a ton of news right now, guys. It's an off week, obviously.
Maybe some fight announcements.
Yeah, let's do some fight announcements. Let's do a few fight announcements. Let's do it. Pull your give Marcel's Instagram some love. Here we go. I think you broke this fight, didn't you? Okay, well,
no,
I thought CC broke it. What do you think of the fight? I mean, Mallory Martin, I should say it. Mallory Martin versus Montserrat Ruiz. Two girls, they're both kind of in the middle of the division, I guess. I don't know. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a good fight, I think. It's for both girls. It's a good fight. I think Mallory lost her last fight against who was it again? Can you help me there?
I can't remember. I know she beat Hannah Cyphers. Let me check who she lost to. Let me check right now.
She lost to Verna, but she lost her most recent.
Pollyanna or something, was it? Pollyanna.
And Montserrat, she lost to Lemos in the first round.
That's not a bad loss. Lemos is good, guys.
Not.
Lemos is good.
I'm looking forward to this one, man. I think it can be a fun battle. So,
All right. That's tonight. Nick Negamariano against Ike Villeneuve. I think Ike is lucky to get another fight in the UFC. I was actually looking at his record the other day. Man, it's not good. He's been knocked down at all 4 of his fights, I believe, too. I mean, the guy just doesn't really seem to have much of a chin, man. Nick Negamariano had a nice win against Kamur. He can also outpoint this guy. I'm leaning. I mean, I don't want to say I'm picking, but I'm leaning towards Nick for sure. I would say the younger guy. Marcel, what do you think?
Same, man. No disrespect to Villanueva, but I think he's a typical guy who would do really good at the regional scene, you know. But I think the UFC just one step ahead of him. So I would say Nick Negamariano as well, man.
Yeah. Jim Cruden, Jamal Hill. We talked about that. We just
talked about it.
Awesome fight. Rafa Garcia, Nate Leffy. I sent this one to Cole. I was like, Cole, I'm surprised by this fight because 0-2 against 0-0. It's kind of weird, because Garcia's not really. He's kind of a prospect in a way, I guess. I don't know, man. I thought, the Gritzbacher fight, I think we both scored it for Garcia. It was super close, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But, he lost a close fight to Hackperist. He's a good fighter. I'm surprised that they did 0-2 against 0-0, Marcel. It's kind of a weird matchup to me, but because I think that Nathan Levy should probably be favored here, right?
Yeah. Got a lot of shit for that, for scoring the fight for Garcia. I really thought he got two rounds. So yeah,
it's one of those ones where he had a lot of. It's kind of like the Sanhagen and Dillashaw fight. He had control versus the striking. I guess the striking really should probably be the damage should be the deciding factor. So again, I have no problem with the decision in that fight. I just thought Garcia did enough of the controlling, and he had moved to dominant positions and had enough strikes himself to win it. But anyways, Levy, obviously, a guy who's undefeated prospect, he shouldn't be favored here. I think I'm just surprised that they would do this to Garcia because. Marcel, he goes 0-3, kind of weird. He's kind of a prospect. Yeah. He's only 27, right? It's not old at all.
When he came to UFC,
it's really weird, right? He's gonna be. He probably will be 12-3. That's really weird, man, to me. Let's see here. Randy Costa, Tony Kelly. Yeah, I mean, UFC 269. Tony Kelly had a nice fight last year with Kai Kara France, who got cut or released. I should say his contract expired. I think Randy Costa lights this guy up, man. I got to be honest with you, Marcel.
Yeah, man, I like Randy Costa in this fight as well. Yeah.
Yeah, he's He's a lot of fun to watch, guys. I enjoyed this guy, his fights. The fight with Yanez was one of my favorite fights of the year, Marcel. He looked amazing in the first round. Insane. I think he landed like 60 significant strikes in like the first round. It was insane.
He looked like a world beater in the first
He looked like the best striker in the world. Then he completely gassed out. And, it was also Yanez because his game plan to go to the body, attack the body, smart game plan. Yanez is a very good striker. We talked about that. I mean, we both liked him in that fight. But Costa's really good too. Oh, let's see here. So the next fight, let's take a few more. I think we talked about this one, Pereira and Michaelides, 268.
We'll stop. You skipped the Burgos one against Billy Carantillo, man.
I did? Let me see.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Yep. Burgos and Quarantillo, 268. I obviously love this fight. I mean, this fight is a good one. I mean, it goes without saying. Burgos, I would imagine, would be favored just because he's, I think, ranked still, but Quarantillo's on a pretty nice roll aside from that one loss to Canadian guy, Gavin Tucker. Otherwise, he's been on a roll. I mean, I think Quarantillo can win this fight, man, but Burgos is good too. So I don't know. What are you thinking?
Yeah, man, it's definitely a good fight. I really like both guys. I think, Burgos never in a boring fight. Carantillo's never in a boring fight. So this is going to be an amazing one. Really looking forward to it. To an already added recently to an already stacked UFC 268, man. That card is stacked as hell.
It is. And then the other fight was Michaelides Pereira, which you talked about. And Pereira. Oh, we didn't talk about this. So Pereira. Okay, so he lost in the weekend. In glory. So now he's coming off a loss, but he still. It doesn't matter because it's a different sport. You know what I mean? That's the thing. I don't think it's a big deal. They gave him a guy he could beat, but also a guy that is pretty tough. I think Pereira will be favored though.
He got guy of a bullshit point deduction in glory, man, and that's pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't know if that influenced the score, but it was a close fight. And I think for Glory was actually, no disrespect to Pereira, but they were very happy he lost, obviously, because if you win and you go away, that devalues the belt kind of, and now Vakitov is the champion and they can still go on and fight. So, but for Pereira, this fight was This fight was pretty much booked for a long time. It's actually got rescheduled, and like Al pretty much said.
Fair
so
enough.
we can say that now as well. So it's a fun fight. Looking forward to it. I mean, Pereira, we saw him in LFA last time, great KO, and I love to see what he can do in the UFC.
Yeah, no, for sure. I like it too. Marcel, I think that's it for today. I can't even talk anymore. I think we're done. We've been an hour. We enjoyed it, guys. Thanks again for the questions today and just the interaction. I love it. Marcel, plug your stuff. Let's get out of here, man.
Big Marcel24 for all your legit MMA news on Twitter and Instagram, and MMADNA.nl, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Here you go. You guys can follow me, MMAOddsbreaker, or Adam Martin on Twitter, and then MMAOddsbreaker.com, BJPen.com. My MMA news, Elite Fantasy, Elite Sports Betting. NFL starting this week, guys. So if you guys are in your pools, I hope you enjoy it. But, we'll be all back. After we watch football next week, we'll be here Monday. Me and Marcel will be here. It's actually my birthday next Monday, Marcel, which is funny, but I still want to do the podcast. So I'm looking forward to it, man. And we'll be here on Tuesday as well. So I'll talk to you guys later. Marcel, have a great one, man. Talk to you soon.
Bye. You too, man.
Peace.